Hello! Alright, if you're watching on the replay, I just want to let you know we're going to have a few minutes here where I'm getting set up and getting ready and we're waiting for people to arrive, so if you want to skip ahead, you can do that. Also, if you want to make sure you're here when I go live, turn on your notifications, that way you'll get a notification when I am live. Okay, now that we've got all that out of the way, I'm going to try to get myself set up for those of you that are here. Try to get the angle on this thing right, so just bear with me. It's always a little bit of a thing. Alright, that's too low. You can't see my face. You're just looking right at my chest. Let me know how y'all are doing as you look at my ceiling, where you're watching from, all that sort of thing. There we go. That's pretty good, I think. We'll call that good enough. Perfect. Okay. So, we are live. And I'm going to get set up on my tablet here so that I can read your comments a little bit. Oh, tip I would say. There's an ad playing on my own video. Okay. I've got that muted now. So, a few of you are here. Let's see. Oh, I put my hand over the screen. Jasmine World says, hi, I'm early. Good job. I'm glad you're here, and you were actually here, I think, before I even started. I've been playing around with doing the scheduled live streams on mobile, because you can do that now, and I really like it because it allows y'all to come and hang out a little bit while I'm getting my stuff together. Josh says hi. Hi, Josh. Josh says, I'm dog sitting and house sitting. The owner left produce for me on Sunday. Not sure when she bought it. Kale, blueberries, oranges, beets, herbs. How do I know if they've gone bad? Ooh, good question. We can talk a little bit about that. Let me get some water. And anyone else, as you arrive, please say hi, and then we'll get started on cooking. Oh, I don't have a knife. Let me grab that real quick while I'm thinking about it. Okay. We've got the knife. Now we're good. As far as all those things, I mean, everything's a little bit different. I would say do a quick Google search because all of those things, yeah, they're going to be different. But generally, you know, you want things to look fresh, not like weepy or withered or whatever. There's also a difference between like doesn't taste that great versus like gonna make you sick. Like if something is really discolored or like has mold or something, obviously you don't want to go there. But most things, it's kind of like what you are willing to put up with. It might not taste exactly perfect, but it might still be fine. But I would say, yeah, just any item that you have a question about, you should be able to find it really quickly with a quick Google. Okay, let me know, the rest of you, how your day is going, what you're doing. My day is going pretty good. It's kind of dreary around here, but that's okay. I don't mind that too much. And I'm actually having a really great week. I feel like last week was not a great week for me, but this week I feel like on top of things and like I'm being productive and stuff is happening and I'm just in a really great mood, so that makes me feel good. Now, I guess we've got a few people here now. We can go ahead and get into the food. And again, as you pop on, just say hello or where you're watching from or how your day is going or anything like that, because I'd love to hear from you. But tonight we are doing bunless burgers with a salad and some roasted potatoes. And I'm going to take you through each of those items just like I do every month on these live cook with me's and show you how I'm going to make everything. And the first thing we're going to start off with is the potatoes. So I've got the oven preheated at 425 Fahrenheit, and we're going to make some potato wedges. And we'll just get started. And if you have questions about cooking or nutrition stuff or whatever, feel free to ask those too while I'm cooking, and I will answer them as I go. And I'm going to try to remember to drink water because y'all know I always forget. Maybe you can give me some reminders in the chat if you notice I haven't had any water for a while, or you can hear my voice starting to get raspy. Yeah, I think that's everything. Okay. Josh says, thanks, are beets safe to eat raw and are the beet greens safe to eat? Yes, you can eat beets raw, and yes, the greens are good too. A lot of times people throw those away, but you can totally eat them. So, good to go on that. Alright, I'm going to rearrange a few things here. So the first thing we're going to start on is the potatoes, like I said. So I've got the oven preheated to 425 Fahrenheit. Really, 400, 425, anywhere around there will work. And we're going to do wedges. And I'm going to now turn the camera down so you can see the cutting board, and then I'll be looking at your comments over here to the side. And let's see if I can do this and get us at a good angle of the cutting board. This is always a thing, just to get it right. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Okay. And you can kind of see some of the potatoes over here. So the potatoes today all have a lot of eyes on them, so we're going to have to cut those off. So I guess we'll get started. Oh, also, a little update. I don't know if it's happening right now. I saw an article this week. It's about a live streaming update for those of y'all who like to hang out on the live streams, especially if you like to watch the replays. So I saw an article this week that YouTube is going to start having an option to look at the chat on the replay. So if you've ever watched these on replay on YouTube, then you know that the chat isn't there. And that's why I really try to read everyone's comment when I'm responding to it pretty thoroughly, because if someone's watching on the replay, well, the oven's preheated. If someone is watching on the replay, then they cannot see the chat that was going on. So if I just say, yeah, Jane, that's great, and I totally agree, Michael, or whatever, no one knows what I'm talking about. They're watching the replay unless I read the comment. Well, the article I read this week said that they're going to start having that chat available like other social networks have. You know, Facebook has that on their live video replays. I don't know if that is in effect yet or not, or if it's coming, you know, kind of down the pipe, it'll be here eventually type of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and read comments for this one, and, you know, we'll see when the replay gets posted what the options are. But just know that that is a thing that is happening or has happened or will happen in the future sometime, which I think is really exciting because I think it just makes the replays way better for y'all if you can't be here live because you don't live your life according to my time. Maybe you live in a different time zone or you just have something else going on, which I understand how that goes. I want to be at a lot of live streams, but I can't necessarily make it every single time. Now, hopefully, those replays will be a little bit better for you. And these potatoes are rough. You can see these have a lot of bad spots, so we're going to have a little less potato than what I wanted, but that's okay. All right, now I'll get into your questions and comments and whatnot. So, Kelly says, hi from Alaska, gave my cat a bath today, still recovering from her claws. Well, I'm sure that even though your cat didn't appreciate it in the moment, she's probably very happy to be clean. And hello to you in Alaska. That's cool. I always love hearing where y'all are from because y'all are all over the place, and it's really interesting to me. We've never tried to give any of our cats a bath, but I think we'd probably have different levels of unhappiness with that. Luna, the little black floofy kitty, if you watched my last What I Eat in a Day video, the video from Tuesday, then she had a little appearance in that video. She's curious about water. When we turn on the shower, she'll go and like kind of look over the edge and watch the water and like is interested, but she also doesn't, you know, want to jump in there with it. So I think she might be the one that we would have the most luck at giving a bath, but she's also the most feisty, so I'm not sure how that would go. Josh says we can use this emoji for water reminders, and it's the kind of little droplet emoji. Okay, I like that. Good deal. Y'all are figuring it out for me. Hopefully I will get better at remembering, but y'all know I just get talking, and then I just talk and talk and talk and talk, and then it's, you know, half an hour and I haven't had anything to drink. And I'm dying over here. Okay. Look through these potatoes. We got a couple left. Nita says, hello, Sarah. How are you guys doing? Hi, Nita. I'm doing pretty well. I'm having a pretty good week so far. And I really can't believe that it's March. It seems like just the other day we did the February live stream. If you're watching and you don't know, we do these on the first Thursday of every month. So it's a regularly scheduled thing. So if you want to come hang out every first Thursday, then I should be here. Aside from maybe some extreme circumstance, this is what we're doing. But yeah, I'm doing good. We have been having some warm weather the past couple weeks. It's starting to feel very spring-like, which is interesting, but we haven't really had any really good snows, and I really was hoping we'd get at least one before winter was over, but you know, we still got some time. Who knows what will happen. So as you can see, I'm cutting these into wedges. You could also dice them, and I do that pretty often, but since we're doing a burger thing, I thought having wedges seemed more like what I don't know, went with that or what sounded good. So I'm just doing each half, I'm quartering each half. And if, you know, you had smaller potatoes, then you might do thirds or something, but okay. Yeah, these potatoes all have a lot of eyes and little places, but they're still good. Y'all are quiet tonight. Sometimes y'all have a lot of questions. Sometimes you're more just chill and observing, which is fine too. But if you do have questions or comments or anything about cooking or nutrition or any, you know, anything in that kind of area, feel free to ask. Okay, I am going to just rub my hands on a towel over here. And I'm gonna bring a sheet. Actually, I'm gonna turn y'all facing straight up. Hello. Okay. There we go. That's pretty good. All right, so we got the potatoes all cut into wedges. Now we are going to get those on a pan and get them all seasoned up to go into the oven. So I'm actually gonna turn you a little bit. You can see I've got some stuff set up over here. There we go. So, ooh, try not to shake too much. Okay, so I'm gonna throw all the potato wedges over here. And then we will season them. Now, when it comes to seasoning the potatoes, you know, you can do whatever. I'm gonna pull the chat up a little bit here. There we go. Okay, you can do whatever you want, and you can make it as simple or as complicated as you want. It doesn't matter. It's just whatever sounds good to you, and maybe whatever you have on hand, or whatever you have time for. So, let me get these last few ones on the pan. Should I do 2 pans? Probably. Kind of don't feel like it. This is, you know, you don't want to overcrowd the potatoes, but I feel like maybe I can make them work. I think I'm going to just try to make it work. That's what I'm going to do, because I don't feel like doing 2 pans. Okay, so, on the potatoes. First thing we're going to put on is some garlic powder. I love garlic and garlic powder, and it adds some great flavor here. I'm going to put that on there, just kind of sprinkle. I'm not, you know, measuring anything, just kind of sprinkle some on there. If you make these a couple times, you'll figure out if you want more, if you want less, or whatever. We're going to put some salt on. Just do a nice sprinkle of that. And I find with the salt, you need a little bit more than you think, because it doesn't necessarily all stick to all the potatoes, you know. There's going to be some that gets left behind on the pan or whatever. Okay, so I got the salt on there. And I see that y'all have some questions coming through, and I promise I will get to those once we finish the potatoes. So, oh, there was something else I wanted to add. So we've got the salt. Now, if you just wanted to do like salt and whatever oil or fat you're going to use, that would be fine. If you want to add the garlic powder, that's another step. You could put pepper on there if you wanted to. I'm not going to. But you could also add other spices like paprika or cayenne pepper or chili powder or whatever. I'm adding some thyme today. I just thought, why not? Rosemary is also really great on potatoes. So, you know, I don't have any rosemary in the cabinet, or at least I couldn't find it if I do. But I did find this thyme, and I thought that would be a nice little addition. You could also do an herb blend like Herbes de Provence, which is a blend that has all kinds of, you know, I don't know, rosemary, basil, thyme, all kinds of stuff in there. So that could be an option too. I'm gonna go rinse the salt off my fingers real quick. Okay, so we've got all of our herbs and spices. Now we're gonna put on some oil. I'm using olive oil. You could use melted coconut oil, or I don't know, if you wanted to do like bacon fat, if you had some of that around, or what else could be good? I feel like those are kind of the main ones. But this is Casandrino's olive oil if you're interested in the brand. I know sometimes people are. If you want to check this out, I do have my store linked in the description of the video. It's my Amazon store, and that has all kinds of things that I'm into. And so if you ever want to see like my recommendations for products or kitchen tools or books or anything, that's always there. And just so you know that that is an affiliate thing. So when you buy from there, I get a small portion of that for referring you to Amazon, and you pay the same price, but I get a little bit of what you spend, and that's a great way to support the channel and the work I'm doing here. If you want to do that, is to buy things through that link. So olive oil going on, and again, just kind of a little drizzle There we go. That's pretty good. And now we're gonna toss this all together. And the thing, you know, I was going back and forth about the one pan versus doing two pans. The thing with roasting any sort of vegetable, including the potatoes, is you want to make sure that you are not overcrowding the pan. So if things are too crowded, then they won't roast and get that wonderful caramelization, which is what we're going for. They will just kind of steam if they're all piled on top of each other, which is fine if you want steamed vegetables, but that's not what we're going for. So we want to make sure that we have enough room for everything. This is going to be a little tight, but it'll be fine. So now I've got everything kind of tossed around and covered in the thyme and garlic and salt and oil, and now I'm just arranging them here on the sheet pan so they're in a nice flat layer. Let's see. I'm trying to get the, you know, the cut sides down so that's having contact with the pan and we're getting lots of caramelization there. See, I think that's pretty good. Everyone seems to have kind of their own little area. All right, I'm gonna go wash my hands off real quick and then we will get those in the oven. And then I will get to some of y'all's questions and comments because I see that you have been chatting a bit while I have been talking about the potatoes. So we're gonna get these into the oven. That's hot. And this is at 425 Fahrenheit, in case you forgot. And then we're gonna do this for 30 minutes or so. Okay, that's set, that's good. Now, the next thing for us to do is work on our burger patties, but I will bring you back around here and answer some of your comments and questions. Let me get this a little more, there we go. That's a little bit better. I don't know if the up from the bottom angle is my best angle, but that's okay. Okay, so I think I'm back where I need to be. How long should it take to eat a meal to prevent eating too quickly? How do you recognize and stop when you're satisfied versus stuffed? Trying to finish what's on the plate versus you know, paying attention to when you're actually full. Okay, so that's a good one. I don't know that I have really a set time for a meal. It's gonna depend a little bit on what you're doing. Are you eating alone or are you eating with other people or whatever? Give yourself at least 30 minutes, I think. I eat faster than that sometimes when I'm eating by myself, but at least just 30 minutes to have a break if you can. You know, I don't know what your schedule's like, but it's really important to at least carve out that time. If you can have an hour at a meal, that's great. But just for your sanity and also the relationships, if you're eating with other people, I don't think of like a certain time of, oh, it should take this amount of time. But make sure that you're paying attention to the food. You know, are you just eating and enjoying your meal, or are you watching television, or are you, you know, trying to answer emails, or are you driving or whatever? Try to carve out that time to eat without distraction. Sometimes that's hard to do. I know for me, sometimes that's hard to do. But it's a good thing to strive for. And, you know, that doesn't mean that, like, you never have a movie night in front of the TV, you know, with your family or with your kids or your significant other or by yourself or whatever. But just trying to be more aware of, excuse me, I'm burping, of having that time where you're eating and just focusing on the food and really enjoying the flavors and the textures and the aromas and all of that stuff. And that alone will help you notice when you're full, because you're not kind of just eating as fast as you can. You're actually paying attention to the food, and that helps you notice when you feel satisfied, but not that stuffed overeating feeling. And as far as not cleaning your plate, part of that is, you know, if you were raised to clean your plate, then it might be just kind of breaking that habit. But also, if you are... Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Part of it is about the habit of being mindful and paying attention to what you're doing, and that just kind of helps. But also, if you are like on a lot of diets, or if you're on a lot of diets, or if you are, you know, restricting in other ways. I know people don't always necessarily like think of, oh, I'm eating a certain way as a diet, but if you're cutting out foods that you enjoy, or if you're restricting the amount, then it might be hard to not then overeat at a meal because you're hungry and your body needs that food, or you've been restricting those foods. So that's something to keep in mind too. And it takes practice. It's something that if you haven't been used to doing that, or you kind of got out of the habit of that growing up by, either what your parents told you or being on different diets or whatever, it takes some practice to get back to that. But it's really about just the intention, to tuning in and paying attention. And something that I think also helps with that's not food related is yoga and meditation and prayer, those types of things where you are being quiet, you're pushing out all the other things, and you're focusing your mind on a specific, idea or intention, especially with yoga, because you're pairing that with movement. So you're focusing on what you're doing. And I think that's helpful because sometimes it can be hard to just like lay there and meditate or whatever. Or sometimes, you're praying and then your brain starts going in a million different directions. But the yoga helps because you have something to focus on. I'm not paying attention to this, that, and the other. I'm focusing on this pose and, how am I positioning my body and all of those sorts of things. So I think yoga is really great for that, to help you just tune in. Okay. That was kind of long. Y'all know I ramble a lot. But we're going to do burgers now, and I will answer some of the other questions that I see here. So I think I'll just show it to you like this. So what we have here, we have a pound of grass-fed ground beef. This I got from my local farmer at the farmer's market, which has been closed for months, but this has been hanging out in my freezer. That's one of the things I really love about my chest freezers. I can store all kinds of stuff down there. Now, normally I do 2 pounds for me and Jason so we can have dinner and then lunch the next day. That was my plan for today. And then when I went to thaw it out, I realized that we only had 1 pound. I thought we had 2. So that's me not double checking and thinking that I know what the inventory is down there. So it means we're not gonna have as much food as I wanted, but I'm also gonna show you some things I'm gonna add in to still fill out and round out the meal. So we've got a pound of ground beef in here, and now we're gonna add in all of our seasonings, and I'll tell you about those and also answer some of your questions as we go. So, all right, so let's add in our ingredients first. So, what do I want to do? Okay, so first I'm going to do a little dash of soy sauce. This just adds, well, this is actually tamari, but it's similar to soy sauce. This adds just kind of an extra, like, savoriness that you're not going to get necessarily from just salt. You can also add in Worcestershire sauce if you want to, but this is what I have, so I'm just going to put in, like, a splash of that. And then I'm also going to put in a sprinkle of salt, because I'm not putting a ton of soy sauce in there, so still need a little bit of salt in there. Then I'm also going to add in some pepper. So we're going to do a few grinds of that. And again, this is the sort of thing where you can customize this to your own flavorings. If you wanted to add onions in, that could be good. I know that's something I do sometimes, so I'm not doing it tonight, but onions can be great added to a burger. And then we have some garlic powder. I love garlic, and it's on the potatoes, and it's going in the burgers too. So I'm going to do a sprinkle of that, and then we're going to mix it all together, and I'm going to answer some of your questions. And guess who's coming in the door right now? Jason. And the kitties are greeting him. Hey, quick question, Jason.
Yeah.
When you get a chance, could you set me up with the...
Charger?
Yeah, I couldn't find the surge protector, but I brought the cord over here. Thanks. Take your time, though. I mean, I've got a pretty good charge. Nita says hello.
Hello.
And so does Josh.
Hi, Josh. Oh.
Okay, so I'm going to mix this up and answer more questions. So let's see where I left. Okay, Nita says, I'm going to have some questions soon. I'm just walking to the bus stop from work to go home. Safe travels. Kelly says, what is the best way to store potatoes? Good question. So potatoes, you can just store them at room temperature. They don't need to be refrigerated or anything. You can put them in a cool, dark place. I keep ours over on this book. I have a bookshelf over here where I have all my cookbooks, and we also keep like our bananas there, and I just have a couple bins I got from like Target, and I have those on the bottom shelf, and I keep the potatoes in there. It'd probably be better if they were in a cabinet or something, but that works. So that's how you store those. Just a nice, cool, dry, dark place. And also make sure you're rotating your potatoes out. So if you get new potatoes, make sure you eat the old potatoes before you eat the new potatoes, or you might get some interesting plants growing in your bag of potatoes. Let's see. Nita says, what suggestions do you have for someone who wants to eat healthy but doesn't have access to a kitchen and has to buy pre-made food to microwave? Good question. Okay, so, and I think this is really important because we're all in different situations and we don't all have the same thing. So, first thing is thinking about how you can cook without a full kitchen. So I had a client like this that Jason is plugging us in. So if you see...
Last time I did this, I think I hit the power button.
Oh.
There we go.
Ooh, okay, good. There we go. So I had a client one time who didn't have a full kitchen. And so one thing is looking at appliances you can buy. So she got like an electric wok, because then you just plug that into an outlet, or you can get like an electric skillet, or you can get a slow cooker, things like that. So, Instant Pot. See, Jason is on with the trends. He knows what's up. So, you can do any of those things so that you can cook things in your home, even though you don't, so you don't just have to do microwave. You can also cook a lot of stuff in the microwave. I mean, look up microwave recipes. And then, as far as meals go, I think also just keeping it really simple. You might not be able to do super complicated things, but you can definitely do, you know, simple salads, or you could do a stir fry in a wok like that. Also, a toaster oven is great because that's a mini oven. So especially if you're just cooking for one, then you can put a piece of fish in there, or you can put some potatoes to roast, or some veggies to roast, or whatever. So I would say think about different appliances you can buy. And Kelly says that she has an air fryer and that she loves it. So that's another thing. So yeah, thinking about the ways you like to cook and then buying different appliances that can do that. Okay, I'm going to show you all what I'm doing right here, and then we will cook these things. Well, I need to get the oil heating up, but we're getting there. So I've got everything mixed up. The next thing I'm going to do is score this with my hand. You can see I'm just kind of taking my hand, and I'm going to break this into 4 pretty even pieces. If I had the 2 pounds of ground beef like I normally do, then I would score it into 8 pieces, but we're working with what we got, and I'm sure Jason will make some comment about how it's not enough food. But I'm going to try to make it work, and I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay, so we've got that scored up. I'm going to try to keep this hand from touching anything, and I'm going to get the pan heating up. So you can cook them in butter or whatever. This is lard. We've talked about lard before. If you have questions, we can go into it again. This is, I got this from the same guy I got this beef from, actually. We also got a half a hog share from him. We're actually finishing off this jar. A half a hog share from him, and I got some lard from him. Lard is kind of thought of as the, like, unhealthy food, but actually it's pretty high in monounsaturated fat, which is like the kinds of healthy fats that are in olive oil that people rave about, much higher than butter. So if you're fine cooking with butter, which you totally should be because it's delicious and there's nothing wrong with having some butter in your life, you know, lard is another nice option. And it's one of the few food sources of vitamin D, which is a fun fact. I'm not sure of the actual amounts, but, you know, vitamin D isn't something that's easy to find in a lot of our food. Okay, so we got this. I'm going to put this in the pan. I'm over here, I promise. I'm trying to do this one-handed, so we'll see. Oh, that actually worked pretty well. Okay, so I'm going to drop this in the sink, and we're going to get this heating up on medium heat. And I think that will be enough. If not, if that's not enough fat, then we will have to get Jason to come help us once it starts melting down. Okay, so I am going to start now forming these burgers, and we'll go on to more questions and comments. Okay. Oh, Nita has a follow-up. Let me get to that. Nita says, so those mean that you don't have pre-made foods that you recommend? Oh, okay. So as far as pre-made foods, I don't have any, like, things specific that I'm like, oh, yeah, that's really good. I would say, you know, if you can get to, like, a Whole Foods or a Trader Joe's, you're going to have more options, obviously. Pre-made foods that I recommend. I think canned soup can be good. If you need to watch your sodium for a medical condition, then you might want to take a look at that. But I think that's a good one. We've been digging these pizzas from Wegmans here lately.
Well, the microwavable Indian dishes.
Oh, that's another one. The Jason, see, that's why I need you here. So the pizzas we've been getting, there's nothing really special in them as far as like, oh, they're like the healthiest pizza ever. Because I don't really think that's the point of pizza. And also, side note, pizza gets a bad rap. Like, it's bread and cheese and vegetables or meat and tomato sauce. I don't know why it's like the epitome of unhealthy food. Maybe it's just because something that people eat a lot of and they don't eat a lot of other things or something. I don't know. But anyways, we've been doing those from Wegmans, which are pretty good as far as different flavor combinations. The problem I have with frozen pizza is a lot of times just like cheese, extra cheesy cheese, pepperoni, extra meat or something. It's like those are your sausage. But the Wegmans brand, they're on the small side, which is annoying. I talked about them in my grocery haul, so if you saw that, then you know what I'm talking about. They're on the small side, but they are tasty, and they have lots of different yummy flavor combinations. Like, you know, they had one that's kind of like Mediterranean vegetables with like squash and peppers and eggplant. And then there's one in the freezer that's like pesto with tomatoes. I think that's the one I showed on that grocery haul. So those are good. Those Indian meals that come in a thing. Jason, if you want to come in here and hold up the thing. Sorry. I know you just walked out, but I've got ground beef all over my hands. I've showed those in a video before, I know. There's different brands, but they're these kind of like Indian in a box things. Sorry. They have...
Displaying.
Thank you. They have, you know, just herbs and spices and lentils or spinach, or there's some paneer ones.
And we're not attached to this particular brand. Like, there's several different types. I'm not sure if we have any other ones.
Yeah, those are good because you just heat those up in the microwave and then make some rice. Rice cooker might be another thing if you don't have, you know, a kitchen. Those are good. I think things like canned fish, canned salmon, canned tuna. Jason, aka Vanna White. So this is a spinach and potatoes one. So there's a lot of different stuff out there. Can you switch the oil around in this pan for me?
I would say another kind of pre-made-ish food that we do. What do you call it? Like a cracker, pickled cheese, something?
Oh, like a cheese board. We're doing that for dinner tomorrow, I think I have on the meal plan.
And that's all pre-made, packaged, or whatever.
Right, so doing like a cheese board where you can like cut up some celery or carrots and throw on some olives or some pickles, and then if you have, you know, pepperoni or deli meat, or if you want to put on some cheeses and crackers or different like strawberry jam, or, you know, just kind of like a little snacky dinner where you just kind of pull out all these little bits and then combine them on a plate. Okay, these are going to go down in the pan. See if I can not burn myself.
I'm trying to respond to some comments. I've been rather negligent.
Okay, I've been negligent on comments.
Call me if you need me.
Just so you know, if you've left a comment and I've not responded, I don't necessarily get to every single comment, but I have been behind for a while now, and I'm trying to be better, but I apologize. Because I want to talk to you, and I just haven't been taking the time to go in there and respond to all the lovely things that y'all always have to say. Thank you for your help, love. Okay, we're going to toss this in the sink. I'm going to wash the gross meat stuff off my hand, and then we're going to talk about our vegetables. I'll try to be semi-quick, but I also want to be safe and not make us sick and not having clean hands. Okay, that should be pretty good. Oh, and this is a handy kitchen tool. This is a splatter screen. So like things like this, I just cleaned off the oven, and I'm making these burgers, which are gonna pop all over the place, so I'm putting this on top. And that keeps things from going everywhere and making your stove super gross. Okay. Let me catch up on some of y'all's questions, and then we will get back into food. Okay. Josh says, Nita says, all your suggestions sound great. Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Okay. Josh says, what's a healthy way to handle the office candy jar and all the sweets and sugary treats that are in an office environment? Okay. Before I answer that, let me know, can y'all hear okay with this pan being so loud? If not, I'm not sure what I can do about it, but we can try to brainstorm together. So just let me know real quick. Say like, oh, I can hear you good, or no, I can't hear anything you're saying, and let me know. Josh says we can hear you. Perfect. Okay, so office candy jar. This kind of goes back to what we were talking about at mealtimes, just being mindful. If there is something in the candy jar that you like, and you would like to have some, just being conscious about that choice that you are thinking like, oh, I really want this chocolate right now, or I really want this, I don't know, fruity gummy thing or whatever, and you're choosing it because you want not just like oh, I'm walking by and I just grab a handful, and then I walk by again and just grab a handful, just not even thinking, not enjoying it, not paying attention to it. Also making sure that you're having real meals. You know, if you're not having lunch at work, or you're working too long and then you get ravenous and then it's like, oh, I gotta eat all this candy because I'm just hungry, you know, having those meals so you don't get in that ravenous place. And then also making sure that you're not restricting those foods if they are something that you like. So say you really love some kind of chocolate, but you never let yourself have it. And then when you go to John's office, he always has a big bowl of it. And so then you like eat a bunch because you never let yourself have it, and then now you're binging on it. So it's that pendulum we talk about a lot of the time, where you restrict something and then you swing the other way and you kind of feel out of control around it. So if that's a situation, then it means incorporating that food into your life and not restricting it, and just letting it be a part of your life, along with all the other foods that you eat. So those are a couple different scenarios, things to think about. Josh says, I tend to eat slower with distractions like Netflix, Facebook, etc., and faster without distractions. Which is better? I say without distractions is better, because then you're actually paying attention to your food. As far as the eating quickly thing, that's something that I definitely do too, like just kind of eating. I mean, I would always finish my food before everyone else at a restaurant. If we went out to get ice cream with people, I'd always eat mine first before everyone else was done. So I understand that. I don't know why that is, but I think it got worse when I was in a time where I was dieting, because then I was just hungry all the time. So it's something to work on, to think about making those conscious pauses and paying attention. And then sometimes you just have to eat quickly because that's the situation you're in and you need to eat before you do something else, and that's life. But without distractions is better, and then pay attention to the food, and that will probably help you to slow down. Okay, we're still cooking pretty well. Josh asked, are there any foods or specific nutrients that might help with anxiety, generally speaking? I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I mean, anything, I guess, that would maybe help you feel calmer. So, of course, there are, like, the calming teas and sleepy time tea, or, like, peppermint tea. If there's something like that, that either, like, the warmness of, like, a hot cup of tea or the ritual of it, that might help. And just good nutrition overall is obviously going to help your body be its best. But I can't think of anything that's like, oh, yeah, just do this and, you know, anxiety solved. And I do think that's one problem I see a lot, is there are a lot of people, especially with mental health things, will just be like, well, you know what, if you just drink this green juice, all your problems will be solved. And while it's true that, of course, good nutrition and doing things that take care of your body, like getting enough sleep and having movement and stuff like that, it's obviously going to help you just in general, because it's going to help your body feel better, which could help with a mental health thing if you're just in overall better condition. But also, I think it can be troubling when people are like, just do this, because that's not a treatment for a medical condition. And I think it can either make people like not get the appropriate help that they need, or it can make people feel bad when they're like, well, I did this and it didn't work. It just seems like a total misunderstanding of mental health stuff to me. And that's as someone who's not a mental health expert. But, you know, it definitely comes in as a part of what people eat and why they eat or whatever. So it does get included a lot of times as far as people's psychology around food. But I'm also not, you know, a therapist or a mental health expert. But that's kind of my general thoughts on that. Oh, Josh says I need to drink water. I'm just seeing it now, but thank you. Because I totally forgot.
Yeah.
Yes?
What about that stuff like caffeine or discontinuated?
Oh, good. Okay, so Jason brought up caffeine. Going back to the anxiety thing. Depending on who you are and how much caffeine affects you or doesn't affect you, that could be something to keep in mind. If it just is getting you keyed up, or if it's interrupting your sleep. You know, caffeine is fine, but if you're having a lot of caffeine in the evening or finding that you're not sleeping well, that obviously isn't going to help things either, no matter what's going on. So that would be another thing to keep in mind. So this is why I have Jason, because he's like my assistant, and he has definitely absorbed a lot of stuff from just me talking about this stuff all the time. And also what's really helpful with Jason is that sometimes he sees like an angle to your question that I don't see, or maybe where you're coming from that I don't see, like that side of it or something. I don't know. It's always nice to have his input, so I'm glad that he's here. Josh says, thank you. Yeah, I avoid caffeine for that reason. So it sounds like, yeah, that's one that you already know for yourself. Okay. Oh, Kelly asking about the splatter screen says it looks cumbersome to wash. It's not too bad. I just kind of take the sponge. It does, you know, it's pretty simple. You just kind of scrub it off a little bit, and it kind of soaks up real quick because of all those little fine, like, mesh things, and then you just rinse it. It is a little large, but it's not too hard to wash, which is nice. Storage is also slightly annoying, but it's worth it to help keep my stove at least a little bit cleaner. You know, I wonder if I have that. I don't think I have that in my store. Maybe I should add that. Okay. Nita says, you said the book Intuitive Eating would help with understanding the concept of understanding your body's and food needs. Is that correct? Yes. Intuitive Eating is a great book that's also linked in my store, which you can find below the video if you want to go check it out, along with some other books. I need to add some more to that too. But yes, that it takes you through several different principles. And if y'all would like some videos on intuitive eating, that's something that I've been thinking about doing some videos on more explicitly. It's something I talk about, you know, with a lot of these topics, it kind of comes in. But I would like to do maybe some stuff just like, let's talk about intuitive eating and what that is and all that kind of thing. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know, but it's something that I'm kind of already thinking about. Okay, Josh says, yes, please do videos on intuitive eating, so I already have one vote for it. And yeah, so what that book does is it's really about breaking down the diet mentality and getting to a healthier place with food. And part of that is listening to your hunger and fullness cues. So some people drill down intuitive eating to just be about hunger and fullness. That's just part of it. There are several other principles that go into it too, but it's kind of about reconnecting to how our bodies naturally are. You know, when we're born, we are really in tune with what our body's telling us, and then as life goes on, that can get broken down as we're children or as we grow into adults based on what our parents tell us or different situations that we have in our life or diets or whatever. I think these burgers are ready to flip, so I'm going to do that really quickly. Oh yeah, they're a little extra crispy, but that's okay. Because I'm talking and not paying attention to food, which is half of the point of this video, right? So I should probably pay more attention. Okay.
Now you read a question out to you.
Huh?
I'm going to read a question out to you.
Oh, that would be helpful.
Which I think is kind of funny because it's such a future dietitian question. Emily Lang says, if you want to become a dietitian, would you suggest that we focus on grades and classes, or being well-rounded in joining clubs, doing extracurriculars, etc.? I have a 3.6-ish GPA and scared that I won't get a dietetic internship. But I feel like it's such a dietetic
Oh man, the struggle is real. Oh. Well, you know, if you could do both, that would be great. So for those of you who kind of aren't in on this or whatever, who aren't in school to be a dietitian or don't know what the process is like, to become a dietitian, you have to go through the kind of, you know, college degree process, but then you also have to do an internship, which you don't get to pick where you go. It's a match process, so you apply to a bunch of different schools, and then you rank them in a computer system, and then they rank all their applicants, and then the computer system like goes blah, 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 and says, Sarah, you're going to go to Virginia Tech. That's what I got when I got my internship match. But because there's so many people becoming interested in this field, the number of spots can't increase that quickly. You know, programs are always trying to add more spots, but we've seen this big boom in interest in nutrition and dietetics. So right now, or at least when I went through it, you know, several years ago, and I'm sure it's about the same now, it's about 50-50 match rate. So even some of the best people in my class who are like, oh yeah, they'll definitely get a match and they'll be a great dietitian, didn't get matched. So it's very competitive, and it can be quite stressful as a student knowing that you don't have control over this very important piece that you have to have before you can take your exam. So as far as my advice, let me read your question again to make sure I answer it correctly. Focus on grades and classes or being well-rounded. You definitely want the extracurricular stuff in there. Wait 1 second. I gotta pour some water in this pan because it does not look very happy. And then we'll go into this a little bit deeper. Alright, get ready for a big sizzling noise. Woo! Okay. Looking pretty good. So, definitely do those extracurriculars because that is the stuff that helps you to stand out. And I would say, oh, now I'm setting off the smoke detector, y'all. I should not be allowed to cook in live stream. I think it's the one in the hall. You can't tell, but it's quite smoky in here right now. Because I overcooked that one side of the burger. So I'm going to turn this burner off. Sorry. I will finish my answer to your question, I promise. I'm just a little distracted. So, having that extracurricular stuff is important. I would say, though, focus on, like, this is the advice that I got, and I think it's probably good advice. Focus on long-term things. So, not like, I went and volunteered at the food bank once, and then I went and volunteered at this community kitchen once, and then I went and volunteered at this farm once. You want things that are long-term. So, like, I volunteered at the farmer's market every weekend my sophomore to senior year, or I worked at the school food service, you know, for 2 years while I was going to school, or every summer I worked at a daycare center, you know, whatever. That's the potatoes. And, you know, it can go on and on and on, different things you can do. Or if it's a volunteer thing, again, you know, I volunteered at this farm for 4 weeks. You want those things because that helps them see that you're committed, and it also helps you grow because maybe when you start in that position, you're going to be doing one thing, but you're going to get more experience as you go. So those are some things to think about, is those long-term commitments. And then that also helps when it comes to getting recommendation letters because those people know you well, and so they can write really clear, specific letters of recommendation because they have so much experience with you as opposed to like, she's great, pick her. So those are some things to think about. And grad school, I mean, it's going to be required here in a few years, but it sounds like you're not at that cutoff yet. But that's a whole nother conversation. I would say do whatever you want to do. If you really want to go to grad school, do it. If you know you want a master's degree or your doctorate in a specific thing, then do it. But I think it's also valuable to maybe work for a little while because maybe right now you would just get a master's in nutrition, like a general thing. But maybe after working for a few years, you're like, no, I want to get a master's of education in health education, or I want to get a master's of public health with a focus in yada yada. And then you can get something that maybe would help you a little bit more. All right. Let's see. Alright, the burner is off. I think we're looking okay. I have burnt this pan slam up, so that's no good. It's actually kind of embarrassing. I'm going to put a little more water in the pan. Alright, here comes the big swoosh. The smoke's getting to me a little bit. And I'm also going to pull out these potatoes, and then I will go into some more of your questions. Okay. And the potatoes look great, and they smell great. And I'll show those to you. So, here you go. I don't know if you can hear, but they're kind of like squealing. Can you hear that? The kind of squeaky sound? That's also kind of a good sign that they're done. And they look so nice and they smell so nice. Okay. Let's do some more questions. Yasmin says, I'm on my junior year becoming a dietitian. Had a test on several vitamins and minerals today. I'm confident that I did well. Awesome! That's great. That junior year is so fun because you're really starting to get into some of the intense coursework. You know, like, your first couple years are so much of just like chemistry and organic chemistry and biochemistry and anatomy and physiology, which are great and they're important and everything. But those last 2 years where you really get into like the very specific like nutrition science courses, so that's really fun. And I'm glad that your test went well. Nita says that I can call can I call the firemen, please, because they're so cute. I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet. I am really bad about smoking up the kitchen and also burning myself. Jason says I should not be allowed to cook without oven mitts. I don't know if I have any. There's one on my arm there. You probably can't see it. In person, you can tell. But I'm always just like catching my arm on stuff. And then I do cooking live and think that that is going to be a good situation. But I haven't hurt myself in a live stream yet. Anita says that she could hear the potatoes. So that's good. And Emily says, thank you. You're welcome. All right, so we're all caught up on comments. So let's move on to our next thing, which is our vegetable. Oh, I don't know how to say your username. One
in the future.
One in the future. Thanks, Jason. Says, hello from Illinois. I enjoy watching your videos. Awesome. Hello from Virginia. I'm glad you enjoyed the videos. And I don't recognize your username, so either you don't comment a ton or haven't commented as much as maybe some other people. So it's cool to see you, because I know there are a lot of times people that don't necessarily comment on videos, so I'm always happy when I hear from you in live streams, because I don't know you're out there unless you say something. So I'm glad that you're liking the videos, and I'm glad that you decided to comment. Okay, so for the vegetable tonight, you're probably thinking, she hasn't started making the vegetable yet. When are they going to eat dinner? But tonight's vegetable is very easy. So we're just doing salad. So this is arugula. I showed this on my Instagram stories when I picked it up at the grocery store earlier this week. If you're not following me on Instagram, that's a great place to be. That is like my prime social media after YouTube. So if you want to connect with me, if you want to see more of my food and stuff, more of my meals, if you like these cooking live streams, then honestly, you probably really like my Instagram. So I got this. It's just a baby arugula, you know, pre-washed thing. So we're going to do that as a salad, and we are going to make a quick salad dressing. So if you don't know how to make a salad dressing, I'm going to show you. And 88 Piano Key says, hello from Texas, currently in school to become an RD. Awesome, hello. And that's exciting. I always love to hear from my RD-to-bees that watch my videos, because it's so cool. You know, I was where you were, and it's cool to hear from you and hear how school's going and all of that. So salad dressing. I'm making a balsamic vinaigrette because that's my fave. So we're going to put in a little bit of olive oil. This is the same olive oil that I used on the potatoes. Again, if you want to get this specific one, it's linked in my store. So I will pour, I don't know, that's good. I just eyeball it. If we have leftover, we'll use it for something else. When it comes to salad dressing, if you want to make a vinaigrette, it's just oil and vinegar or oil and some sort of acid. So you could also use lemon juice. But today I'm using balsamic vinegar, red wine vinegar, apple cider vinegar, lemon juice like I mentioned. Any of those things would work. White wine vinegar, whatever you like. But we're doing balsamic today. And, sorry, I need water. We're doing balsamic today, and you want about a 50-50 mixture. Some people like a little bit more oil than acid. Some people like a little more of the acid thing than the oil. It doesn't really matter. You just kind of eyeball it. If you have a specific preference, then go with that. But it's important to have fat on your salads. I know that a lot of people go for like low-fat or non-fat dressings or just put vinegar on their salad. One, I don't think that tastes really great. But two, fat is an important thing to have on your salad because there's a lot of nutrients, certain vitamins, that are fat soluble, which means you have to have fat in what you're eating to absorb those vitamins. And if you don't, then they're just going right through you and they're ending up in the toilet. So you want to have fat with your food to help you absorb those vitamins, and also because fat helps make food taste good, helps you feel full and satisfied, and it on its own is an essential nutrient that we all need. So oil and vinegar, and then a little bit of Dijon mustard. And the mustard, the mustard acts as an emulsifier. So you can see right now how the oil and vinegar are separated in 2 layers. And you know, you could shake it up, but then it would separate pretty quickly. The mustard emulsifies it, which means it keeps it all mixed together. So we are going to just put in, there we go, a little squirt of that. And that's kind of the basic recipe. You could add in other herbs and spices to jazz it up. You could add in a little bit of something sweet, so like a little honey or maple syrup or a strawberry jam or something like that if you want to add some sweetness to it. You know, you could also combine vinegars if you wanted to do multiple different ones in one dressing. But this is kind of the standard. Then you just shake it. And I like doing the mason jar because you just shake it. And then, you know, you don't have to worry about mixing. And this is a great job if you have kids in your life who are helping you with cooking dinner, which they absolutely should be involved with the food because they're going to have to know how to cook dinner themselves one day. But this is something that very small children can do, and it's really fun for them. Just shake up, you know, the salad dressing, and then there you go. All done. So we've got everything cooked. I'm going to answer a few more of your questions, and then I think, oh, there's one more thing I want to tell you about. So I told you how I didn't have enough ground beef. How are we going to make this meal more filling since I messed up on the grocery shopping? Adding toppings and other things into the mix. So I'm going to cut up some avocado to have that as an option. You could also just make guacamole and smear that on your burgers. I also have some goat cheese here, so that's another thing. I've got some blue cheese here. So anything like that is going to help pump it up a little bit. Also, you'll notice I don't have any buns. That's not because like bread is evil or you shouldn't eat bread. I just don't personally, I don't know, when I make this meal, that's not really what I want. What I really like to do is do a bed of greens with the dressing, put the burger kind of on top of that, maybe throw some mustard and ketchup, have a big pile of potatoes. To me, that sounds really good. So that's what we're doing. But if you wanted to have a bun, you could do that too. Or if you want to do like a lettuce wrap or something like that, that could be another option. Okay. So let me see where I left off. Oh, Nutrition Elevated said, fellow RD here, love this idea and great tips for everyone. Thanks. And I love having RDs in the audience too. RDs to be. I'm always glad to hear from y'all. Trying to make sure. 88 Banana Keys says, currently in medical nutrition therapy 2 and sports nutrition. That's hard, but totally worth it. But yeah, that's intense. And Nita says, what else serves as an emulsifier with dressing? I don't know. The only one I've ever heard about is using Dijon mustard. I mean, there are other things that can emulsify. So like when you think about mayo is made from a raw egg and oil. The egg yolk is what serves as like the emulsifier to make that oil into a solid, into the mayonnaise. Because what's happening when you do emulsification, here's a little food science lesson for you. So let me make sure I say this right. So if something isn't emulsified, like if you just shake up the oil and the vinegar, what you have is little droplets, yes, that's right, little droplets of oil surrounded by water, okay? When something is emulsified, that gets flipped. So you have little droplets of water surrounded by oil, and that is what makes a difference. So if you just mixed up, you know, some egg yolk and oil, it wouldn't turn into anything. But the way you make mayonnaise, what happens is allows that kind of flip to happen. So instead of the oil being suspended in the water, now the water is trapped in the oil, and it totally changes things. So I think all that stuff is pretty interesting. I don't know if y'all do. Okay, well, I think we're going to go ahead and eat dinner now. If y'all have any more quick questions, then I will answer them. How do you say this again, Jason? One in the future. I feel like whenever I look at it, my brain, like, short circuits.
It doesn't work.
Yeah. Okay. One in the future said, I've heard soy lecithin is an emulsifier. Yeah, that's a lot of times you'll see in chocolates that will be in there, and that just keeps everything together. And actually, one time I tried to make chocolate mousse when I was in college, me and my roommate, and who was also a dietetic student. We're making chocolate mousse, and we had some chocolate chips that we were using, and we were trying to, you know, go through the process. I won't go into how you make chocolate mousse, but we were trying to do it, and then the oil started to separate from the cocoa solids, and like the mousse wasn't happening. I'm pretty sure that's what we were trying to make. And we looked at the package, and the chocolate that we had gotten was some kind of like, you know, organic, natural, blah, 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 blah chocolate that we had bought at the store. It didn't have any sort of emulsifier in it, so the oil was separating out, which it would have been fine if we were making chocolate chip cookies, but because of what we were trying to do, it did not work. So that's something that you might see in some food products. Okay, well, let's review the food real quick before I leave you so you know what we're having. So we have got our roasted potatoes. Delish. A little salt, balsamic vinegar, and some thyme on those, so I'm excited about that. We have some burger patties over here. Let me see if I can show you one. They're a little extra crispy. Ooh, there we go. So there's a little burger. So we're going to have that, probably with some mustard and ketchup and such. And then we're doing our arugula salad with the balsamic dressing. And then I'm going to put out some toppings for us too. Avocado, goat cheese, blue cheese, to jazz things up a bit and make everything a little bit more filling and satisfying. So that's this month's Cook With Me. Thank you guys for hanging out. It's been a lot of fun. I always love answering your questions. Come back next month. We do this the first Thursday of every single month, and it's always, always, always a really good time. I always enjoy it. I always enjoy chatting with y'all and hearing what you have to say and catching up with you, answering your questions and all of that. I always think it's a lot of fun, and it's one of my favorite things, and I'm glad that so many of you enjoy it too. Nita says, thanks, Sarah. Love you. I love you too. And I'm going to go have dinner, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening or morning or afternoon or whatever time it is where you are. Bye.